Right, folks. You know what I've noticed in quite a few incarnations? There's a motorbike hiding. Anyway, so I've noticed in quite a few incarnations online and in paper by different media distributors about the act of delivery cyclists getting flung off their bike. Right, they're talking about this like it's something new, where it's not really. Right, because there's been a lot of anti-migrant protesting and anti-migrant sentiment, they've scooped that little bit of paint and put it into the already paint delivery cyclists, just eat cyclists, get a real job, right, are getting pushed off their bikes. Well, and trying to call it a new situation. No, it's not a new situation. We all know the situation with like Deliveroo, Just Eat, etc, colliding into people, and when people get collided into, they're not exactly happy. Us Glaswegians aren't terribly happy when we get collided into, especially when it causes an actual injury that requires the attention of the MIU or A&E departments. So that's a massive chunk of time actually invested going to a hospital or a clinic. And some of these clinics you could be waiting there for up to 5 hours before you even get seen. So, you know, people getting flung off the bikes, it's nothing new. Absolutely nothing new. Right? They've done something previously. They've collided with a car, they've scratched a car, they've collided into wee Mrs. McPherson of number 33. You know, there's been what you call a precursive incident beforehand. It's not just, oh my god, the world's evil, oh yeah, we need. No. Not at all, not in a million years. They've collided with something. And I heard of a story where Deliveroo collided in with a Lamborghini. The owner was steaming with rage, quite understandably, because Lamborghini garages don't just pop up every district in Scotland. It's like regional or national things, so there we have it. But yeah, I mean, we heard about that story, the Deliveroo guy that raped a lassie because she opened her door to obtain the food, and he basically just got straight on with it. So that's potentially what you call a kind of sub-cause, but the main cause of these people getting pulled off their bikes is because of nearly struck somebody, nearly struck a car, banged into the side of a bus, right? And the thing is, these bikes are heavy, these bikes are fast, and you would think, oh well, if Deliveroo mashes his bike into the side of a bus, then there'll be a fine inside. No, it's quite some sizable whomp. And I tell you something, there was a sort of thing that happened with one of the buses we were on, and Deliveroo, you know, and yeah, the bus violently shook when this incident happened, and the driver had to come out the cab and phone, because somebody was flung to the floor, right? We needed to wait for an ambulance. There was ramifications, serious ramifications, right? It wasn't just, oh, you know, and the driver kept, honestly, hats off to the driver, because he kept professional about it. A few other passengers didn't, but let's not talk about that. Right, the driver himself, honestly, he's totally won my heart, because he could have went ape shit and he got out of the cab and, you know, did what he needed to with the guy, right? But no, he kept fairly professional, very professional, shockingly professional, absolutely excelsior to that bus driver, right? I wish I knew his name, I wish I knew common roots he did, just to say, yeah, you rock. But ultimately, that's taking the conversation here to a different angle. Ultimately, these news articles, online, offline, I don't care line, right? These have been written by left-leaning journalists. They've not actually filled in or did any form of research to see where the problem was coming from. They've just seen delivery, just see other agents being pushed off a bike, but there's always a backstory and no one wants to talk about it. And this is where people of YouTube, including people like Craig Houston, actually want to talk about the full story, even if it does make people feel a little bit sad and hurt. Right? It's actually quite good to talk about the whole story rather than a part of a story. But as I say, to these people getting pushed off their bikes, there's always a precursor, and no one wants to talk quite about it. Though conversely, these anti-immigration marches recently, there was a guy that was accosted, taken off his bike, and he had to go into a restaurant for safety. These people who did that, these are the exception. This group of people I'm talking about that did get themselves involved in that kind of form of behaviour, chucking road cones, delivery agents, is absolutely bang out of order. Absolutely bang out of order. I mean, I might not like Deliveroo or their operating models, right? But I would never condone anybody to be lobbing cones, because the cone in question is over 10 kilograms. Imagine that guy flying to his head. That could break his fucking skull, and that could cause a thing called a cortical injury, which leads to death in 100% of all cases, and that's fucking out of order. That, right? These people writing the news articles, they're very left-leaning. They're not interested to hear there's actually another side to it, and there's a precursor to the situation. But that's all I can really say, to be honest, without going over myself numerous times. I think it's Friday, folks, so I think it's time to put the camera away and put my feet up. It's been a very long, stressful weekend. Well, weekend, you know what I mean. Week, right? It's been a long, stressful week, and it's time for me to put my camera phone on charge. Camera phone. Remember that, right? Way back, camera phones were the phones were mainly a tiny part of the device, you know, camera phone. And now the camera is a small part of the phone device, so it's kind of, I'd have to draw what I'm talking about, but ultimately the device, maybe 2008, was the camera with the phone as a side thing, but now it's the phone with the camera as a side thing. Hope that makes somewhat sense. But anywho, as I say, it's Friday, time to put the feet up, chill and relax. Hope you are all doing well, and until next time.